I went along to the what do they call? Okay, it was the Labour's Budget 2025 thing. I wasn't sure what they called it, which was hosted by Duncan Webb, who is and I suppose Ruben Davidson as well, who are and I suppose what was her name? Tracy McClellan. So this is Tracy McClellan, who I didn't know much about, but now I do. List MP for the Port Hills, I believe, and Ruben Davidson, who is awesome. He is the Christchurch East MP, and he is keen to come on, which was pretty cool. He's the spokesperson for the creative arts and science. And he was saying that he was the one that introduced the incentives for the gaming sector and I suppose like the rebates, similar to the film industry one that they had done. So he's really cool. So keen to get him on. And obviously there's Megan there as well. And Barbara Edmonds, who is very cool. She saw me and she gave me a big hug. She was very excited. Yeah. She's almost, I was telling Magenta, she's like two different people. She's got her serious side that we mostly see in the media. And even when she's on BHN, she still has that very serious persona. Even though she's like a little bit more relaxed and casual. But like in person, she's super bubbly. She just like, she was so excited. She's like, oh my God, it's nice to meet you in person. Give me a big hug and like, yeah, she's all smiley and bubbly, which is really cool. Yeah. So she's definitely a people person. And obviously Duncan Webb, who we've had on the show a few times as well. He's exactly as you would expect him to be.
Just a good old Kiwi bloke.
Like, this is hilarious, right? He's wearing a shirt, a sweater vest, and a blazer, and then a swan dry.
I kind of love it. That's kind of iconic.
And it wasn't a cold room, so I don't know how he pulls it off.
He's like, I'm just doing it for the aesthetics, bro. Like,
this is my look. This is what I wear.
I love that.
It's so funny. Yeah, he's super dad vibes. And then you've got the 3 youth MPs for the area as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they were pretty cool. They were cool.
Yeah,
cool
I've seen a few of the youth MPs and some of the posts recently getting amongst it, which is cool.
And there's a couple of more photos as well. Got the Jenny Anderson was also there. She's not in the photos though. I think she stepped out quite early on, but didn't get to meet her. But she was also there, which is cool. We got the wee stage. Barbara, Craig doing this.
Where's the money coming from? Where's the money coming from?
Pretty much. That was him. And then they had their jobs, health, and homes. And then Craig did a fantastic presentation all about numbers. And he successfully made the room really depressed, followed by Barbara, who tried to lift our spirits.
Did she do it? Did she manage to?
Well, I don't know. Craig was Craig, as you'd imagine. Very, very numbers-based. He's quite cynical of the government, obviously, and he's the same as what we see online, you know. But it was Craig, the presentation of the numbers. Yeah. Barbara didn't have a presentation, but she was more so talking about the overall strategy, or not the strategy, the overall sort of messaging and the things that they're focusing on and why it's important to focus on these things, you know, things like wasteful spending, like the ferries getting cancelled.
Yeah, absolutely.
All that sort of stuff. But the general vibe was like, it was still kind of political speak a little bit. She did talk about her, like her upbringing and things like that, and her went through her sort of story, which it was so we got to know her a bit more, and it was, I don't know, it didn't have any substance yet. That's what I came away with.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was nothing that I came away with.
Not as much meat, kind of maybe just a little bones at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit bones. We're still growing the meat.
Okay, now that's just okay. Now I hate it.
It's backwards. But yeah, like I just kind of came away like, I like Barbara. I still don't really know what I came away with. But anyways, the two speeches, Craig's one and Barbara's one, are going to be part of Craig's podcast this week.
Yes.
So you guys can have a look. I don't know if the questions were recorded, but one of the questions that was fantastic came from a lady who was sitting behind me, quite an old lady. The general demographic in the room was like 40s, 50s, 60s and up.
Okay, yeah.
I would say even like 50s, 60s and up. It was pretty. It was fairly. I mean, it's Labour. It's the kind of demographic you'd expect, I guess. Mostly white, but it is Christchurch, to be fair. There was a very small group of sort of 18, 19, 20-ish, or sort of around that age. And then there was me and Tane.
Yes, I did see Tane saying.
Yeah, I have a photo. I'll grab that and I'll show you.
I mean,
that's true. That is
true. Have you not been to a Green Party one? No.
Well, for that demographic, it was interesting to see the response to taxes. But the lady who was sitting behind us, she asked a question. She must have been in her 80s at least, and she said that I assume she probably would have been in the 90s, 40s then-ish, 40s, 50s odd. During the Ruth Richardson budget. And she asked the question of, after the Ruth Richardson budget, which is basically the 2.0 of the Margaret Thatcher budget and the precursor to the Nicola Willis budget. Same austerity vibes. She was saying that, it should have been a shoo-in for Labour to win the next election, and they didn't win it. And she was like, what's different this time? What is Labour going to do to win? Because it should be an easy win for you guys. And Barbara's response was unity. They didn't have unity back then, and that's why Labour lost, whereas this time around they have unity. Like, yeah, that's a similar message to what I've heard so far around things.
What do you mean by unity? I guess I don't. Where's the meat?
It's the same. I assume it's the same sort of. I don't know what the situation was back then. I'd have to look into it, but I assume it was the same thing as when Andrew Little. We kind of had that Phil Goff, Andrew Little time during Labour, and we had the same thing happen in National with all of their corruption scandals with Simon Bridges, that kind of era. I imagine it was something to do with that. Whereas I do feel like we are going into this election with a really strong, cohesive Labour Party. Chippy thing aside, it feels like they're all pushing in the same direction. The messaging's quite similar. They've got some really solid people in there. So that was the general response. And then the other thing I took away from it was tax. So I don't know if it came from that question, but Barbara was saying there's three ways to for the government to make money, essentially, which is cutting, reprioritizing, which is just moving money around, essentially cutting things and putting it somewhere else, and revenue. And that's where she started to talk about capital and taxes and things like that. And she said, we're going into the next election. She said, we're going into the next election with a tax policy, with tax reform. That is going to be our thing. And she definitely said something along the lines of capital gains is one of those. I think I'm not sure exactly what she said, but capital gains is heavily hinted at. Then Craig took over the podium and he said, as a member of the CTU, we did this big document, I think it was Aotearoa Today or something along those lines. They did a big thing, and they said that capital gains tax is one of the things that CTU was advocating for quite heavily. So, and the two of them, Barbara and Craig, work quite closely together, and seems to be that they're with Barbara's. Oh, that's what it was. Barbara was talking about that she used to work for IRD, right? And she's a tax accountant, or tax accountant of sorts. So I think her bringing it up was kind of also a thing of I used to work in tax department. I know the system. I know what's there. I know what we can do to fix it.
Yeah.
And What was? Oh, there was something else. Now I think about it. No, it came to mind and then now it's gone. Oh, it was something
She was
really
a
good
tax
too.
lawyer, by the way.
Oh, she was a lawyer. Ah, okay. She was a tax lawyer. Okay, I knew she was. I didn't realize she was a tax lawyer. Um. Oh, there was something else. Damn it. There was something about what Barbara said. It was really good. I don't remember what it was. Never mind. So she did say some. She did say some good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. There was one thing. Well, it's on my brain. Otherwise, I will forget it. They were saying that. Oh, there was actually multiple things. Now I think about it, I'm going back in time. One of them was someone asked about the pay equity stuff, and it was one of the people that championed it and got a service medal. I think it was for it. I'm not sure if it was the lady. It might have been the lady. If you know the lady I'm talking about, that championed pay equity. She asked what Labour are going to do because she hasn't heard a confirmed, like, are you going to reverse it? And the general thing was that Labour ministers are talking to those guys that had claims, the 33 that had claims, and they're working with them so that it's when they get back in government, they can just continue on from where they left off, and they don't have to do all that work again. And they're doing it now so that when they get in, it's all ready to go and they can just action it and get those claims going. So that's really, really good. And that was definitely a promise, which if they backed on that, I'd be very disappointed.
Yeah.
It pissed off a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
So they said they're doing the work now for that and they're getting that underway. And this other thing that I can think of is they don't want to do specific numbers because they don't see the books until they get into government. So they'd have to, they're going to crunch numbers and try and figure up a figure for just generally things. But they are limited on information because they don't have access to the books. So there was a bit of like, we're going to do our best to kind of navigate once we get the next budget out. We'll kind of have an idea of what's going on, but can't promise anything just yet. So good things and bad things. I generally left feeling like Barbara's really good. They all just seem like real genuine people, which was great. But I just had that feeling of like chippy. I just had that feeling of like, I'm held him back a little bit. Like, I don't know. So, yeah.
No, I mean, that makes sense. And I think that's like, so I think some of the people in the chat got a little bit confused. Kind of what I meant by what does she mean in terms of unity. I was kind of wondering this definition was whether it was inside of Labour or if it was inside the coalition, because I think some people they don't seem united. But yeah, it makes sense that they feel more united as a Labour, but as a coalition partner, I don't know.
A lot to be desired there.
Hopefully someone kicks him up the ass soon enough.
Yeah. So that's the general roundup. I encourage you guys to watch when Pat gets around to putting I think it's the thing he said tomorrow, but I haven't seen it in the back end, so not sure. But yeah, Craig's podcast will have both of those chats, and you can hopefully have a look for yourself. I don't know if the questions will be there, but if the questions are there, the questions are quite good. But yeah, it was just nice to see. Let a few people say hi, which was nice.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely, it was nice to see a room full of people that you wouldn't typically look at and go, yeah, it's a lefty. Like, that's definitely someone who's progressive and left. Like, not progressive, but, not progressive. Green's progressive, but, does want good things for the people.
Right, of the centre, yeah.
Yeah. That was good. It was good. Yeah. It's nice to see.
No, and I mean, it sounds like, I think someone was saying here, if they're with that whole pay equity thing, they definitely got to make sure that they push that hard in terms of their messaging. I know I've also seen a lot of talk this week around maybe just in terms of them trying to be stronger with their messaging in general and kind of not necessarily explain to people why they should care about this thing. Explain to people why you guys are going to do the good thing. But it definitely sounds like it was a pretty decent all round, and like a few people have been saying, it's really good to see that there was young people because some people were saying they assume young Labour would have been in the crowd
Yep.
there.
So then that photo I showed you guys before, that's the 3 young Labour.
Yeah, the youth MPs, but then you've also
youth
got young
MPs.
Labour as well as.
Oh.
Yes, so you'll always have a youth division.
Gotcha.
You have like Young Act, which they had pretty much the same kind of controversies as the normal act. But yeah, you've got young versions of all of them.
Yeah. Yep. No, I know what you're talking about. Yes. Not that I know of. Not that I could see if there were those guys there. But yeah, no, it was good stuff. And there's a Greens one coming up in about a month's time too. So
yes, Tanya said they're going to go. He's going to go to that one. So
yeah. So that'll be interesting to see what the vibe is there. Obviously, probably a bit younger.
Apparently, Barb got old Gary to pose in the Nikki No Boat shirt. In front of
we also we also got a photo, but I also haven't seen that been posted. So I wonder if it's kind of like they're not sure about posting that sort of stuff. But
I mean, to be fair, a lot of the time they do that. They'll like maybe put it in stories or they'll feed it out over the weeks and all that.
Yeah, they might be. Show you I think. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, okay, no, never mind. I'll find it later. Tanya and I did get a photo with our BHN merch, so
hell represent. Yeah. I love that.
Very cool. Yeah. Before we do our one and only super chat and do some memes. Someone did say, I can't find it now. Someone was saying that the only reason Labour is looking stable and united is because of Chippy's leadership, and I totally can understand that. From that point of view, Chippy's a great leader of people. He's the like managerial leader that Christopher Luxon wish he was. Like, he's the kind of guy that is united people together. He's got them all singing the same tune, but he's not completely hands off. And he's like, oh, I mean, they could just do what they. I mean, I assume he's not kind of like, oh, they could just say what they want, sort of thing. Like, he feels that kind of stable leadership. Doesn't feel like right now like a prime minister leadership. Or he's not like a prime minister leader. You know what I mean? Like, that's the feeling I'm getting.
Type of setup.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great leader of his team, maybe not great unifier of all of the teams. Like,
he's not the CEO. He's kind of like a team manager, I think is the best way to put it. That's the feeling I get right now. He's like leading his team. He's letting them do what they're really good at. But I don't feel like he's the guy that represents the company, you know? So.
No, yeah. I can see that.
That's the vibe I'm getting right now. So there's still time. There's still time.